Mataji is sitting there.
Okay, bro, we'll start.
He's giving the laptop.
It's okay, bro. So,
नहीं अंकल लोग का क्लास ऊपर है
वो बता देंगे नबी
वो ऊपर है he is not here
Hare Krishna.
he is not इधर there to is not
that's what
We'll start the class.
because everybody has the same tune.
Hare Krishna.
Everybody is doing
okay probably started हाँ माताजी
अरे नहीं बात तो क्लास कुछ नहीं चाहिए हाँ प्रभु कॉल जरा प्लीज
So today we'll discuss about Mahatma Vidura. Start with Maitreya. Canto 3, Status Quo. Chapter 5, Vidura talks with Maitreya. Section 2, few weeks back, we already covered the first section, which is the inquiries, part of inquiries. And now we'll discuss further the answers of Maitreya to Vidura in answer to his questions. So these span verses 17 to 37. Before starting, I'll seek blessings of Guru and Ganu and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nastapayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Srimata
Takatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastu Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam.
So this chapter is titled Vidura Start with Maitreya. Before this chapter, chapter 4, I'll provide some context about it so that we better understand the current chapter. So in the previous chapter, Uddhava meets Lord Krishna, who is preparing for his own departure. And as part of this, we also, this other section is Maitreya Muni arrives and Krishna instructs Uddhava. And Maitreya is sitting beside him and hears all the conversation and learns from Lord Krishna. After that, after hearing from Lord Krishna, Uddhava departs to Badrikashrama following the instruction of Lord Krishna. And then Vidura, Mahatma Vidura comes to meet Uddhava, and as a matter of etiquette, he asks him to meet actually Maitreya Muni, who also had heard all this conversation that happened between Uddhava and Lord Krishna. So that's where chapter 5 starts. So Vidura had all these questions that he inquires from Maitreya Muni. So some of the questions are like this. So he inquires about the process of creation, Lord's Purusha incarnations, how actually Lord enters the material creation. He wants to know in detail. He inquires about the living entities and what forms they take. And at the end of all these questions, he nicely cites one important aspect, one important point that whatever you speak, Maitreya Muni, speak, please do so only in connection with Krishna. So by that, he is clearly understanding that everything can be understood better only when in relation with Krishna. Because he is already bored with all the learnings he had learned previously from Vyasadeva, that there is nothing really so tasty about anything other than when it is related to Krishna. So one question may come, why Vidura doesn't inquire directly about Krishna? Because that's what Uddhava told. You go and inquire about from Maitreya Muni, who is an impersonalist previously, about the pastimes, form, and Lord's activities. But instead, he inquires considering the greater good of common man, because common man, he cannot directly understand the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So he has to first understand his position in this material existence, and then by understanding that, he will later better understand the pastimes of Lord Krishna and appreciate them. So, for the welfare of common man, he inquires about Krishna's expansions, which are Purusha incarnations. Now, Maitreya Muni actually glorifies the inquiries of uh, Vidura, because he cites these points because they bring great goodness to the whole human society. So it is only your kind mercy that you are inquiring. Though you are a pure devotee, still you are inquiring out of your humility, and your inquiries actually bring very good fortune to this world and even to me, because I am able to speak about Krishna and his Purusha incarnations uh, for the pastime of creation. So Vidra's mind is fully absorbed in transcendence. That's why his inquiries are like that. That is cited in verse 17. And then uh, Maitreya also brings about the point about the birth of Vidura. He is actually son of Vyasdeva. So by that great birth, being born from Vyasadeva, he naturally acquired very good qualities. So that's why his mind is always fixed in transcendence. And he also praises Maitreya's former life as Yamaraja. Yamaraja is actually one of the Mahajanas, pure devotee of Krishna. So, who is actually cursed by Mandavi Muni to be born as a Sudra in the next life. We all know that story. Right? Should I tell? Yeah. So, he was actually a pure devotee as Yamaraj. And then he is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna, and for that reason he always appears along with Krishna whenever he appears. And the reason for his leaving his place, the Pandavas' kingdom. So he explains all of that, and he glorifies Vidura in all these aspects, and then actually starts answering the questions. Before that, Prabhupada highlights the benefits of hearing Krishna Katha. So Krishna Katha primarily is uh, what Krishna has spoken directly to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita, or the glorification of Krishna's pastimes in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So hearing Krishna Katha does good for one who asks the questions, inquires like Vidura is doing now, and who answers the questions like Maitreya, and all the audience who hear about these conversations, like all of us and anyone who hears in any form about these glorious books of Krishna Katha. So the message enters through one's ears, and the impact is that it purifies the heart. When one hears about uh, the pastimes of Lord Krishna, it vanquishes the material miseries. That's what Prabhupada highlights. You know, benefits of hearing Krishna Katha. Before actually is further going into the details of creation. So Maitreya briefly describes the process of creation in verses from 21 to 26. Um, we all understand that Krishna is the creator, is the original person, and it means that he exists before anything else. So he must exist. When he is called creator, he must exist when there is nothing else. Right? So that is the understanding. So everything that exists only depends on him. He is dependent on the existence of Krishna as the supreme creator. So he is the primal person. So from this, what we can understand is that one basic thing is Lord cannot have material body, because if he has material body, the thing that comes from him is material, but he cannot be material because he is the source of it. So we understand that Lord cannot be material, cannot have material body. So also that Krishna is powerful because he's the only creator. Right? He's the only creator who created everything, which means he must be fully potent and powerful, and he must be supremely intelligent, and he controls all the phases of creation, maintenance, as well as destruction. So he is the supreme controller, being the supreme creator, and everything rests on him. So our existence can only be understood by the existence of Krishna. We have no independent existence. We exist because Krishna exists. We cannot relate in any other way about our existence. Okay. So, so being our existence so insignificant, the only resort is that we surrender to Him for our own benefit. So it's about just understanding the what it means to understand Krishna as the creator, the only creator before any other existence exists. One question may be why Krishna should create. Generally, people ask in the beginning, why should Krishna exist? When somebody creates something or does something, if I'm doing some job, it's because I need something. It's out of always some need. Otherwise, I would never do what I wanted. I mean, what I do. I do something because of a need I felt about fulfilling it. Right? I do whatever. It's only because I do bath for a purpose, and I need that. Otherwise, I cannot exist in this material existence. So, does it mean that Krishna also creates for the reason of a need, like any of us? It's not. So that Prabhupada clarifies in the purport of 3.5.24. Lord creates material manifestation only to give another chance to conditioned souls who are forgetful of Him. Lesson is that so by understanding the creation, the whole purpose of understanding the process of creation is to know why Lord creates, the purpose behind it. It is to actually give us a chance so that we can surrender to Him. The further slokas actually give more insight into that, but Prabhupada actually brings that point beforehand. Because being in the state of an independent competitor to Lord will never actually give us any happiness due to our insignificant position. And then Maitreya Muni actually details the process of creation. Firstly, Lord impregnates the total material substance known as pradhana. Pradhana is undifferentiated material substance that exists in one quarter of the creation of Lord, and the process is through his glands. We heard from classes of Maharaj and Namatham that he, the Lord's glands goes in the form of Shambhu. The Lord's glands is actually Shambhu Tattva that touches Pradhan, and then actually, so he impregnates these souls, jivas, the marginal potency, through his glands, Shakti, the Shambhu Tattva, and when it touches the Pradhan, it actually starts differentiating, gets agitated and starts developing. So that the first thing that produces from undifferentiated material substance, that is pradhan, is called Mahat Tattva. And what is pradhan? The definition is given: the junction between pure spirit and matter, where from false ego is generated. That's the germination for false ego, the point of germination for false ego, the false identity. So that's how we are covered. Always that's wide. So, so we already discussed Mahatattva is a combination of mode of pure goodness tinged with mode of passion. And Pradhana and Mahatattva differ by understanding that Pradhana is non-differentiated material substance and Mahatattva is agitated mental substance which is started the process of manifestation. So impelled by Lord's potency, in the next several slokas, the phases of creation are explained in detail, starting with Mahatattva, how it further develops through Lord's potency into false ego. So the false ego is the illusory consciousness on which the whole material creation is based upon. So false ego next manifests uh, in the mode of into it actually differentiates into three categories of modes: the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So, so before that, let's understand false ego. So false ego is characteristic. The characteristic of false ego is that it has this innate identity as the cause, the reason for cause, the effect of the cause, and the um, doer of the cause. For example, anything that is conscious exhibits these three qualities. Something happened because of a reason, the cause. I am the cause. We identify ourselves as a cause. And the effects produced also we identify, I produce the result, and we identify ourselves as the doer of activities. So all these are germinated from this the identity, false identity, which is the through which the soul sees the world around. This is like a layer of covering through which the pure jiva actually sees the world. Because of these three characteristics, so now actually, so false ego is the beginning of evolution and subtle matter. So now from false ego, further gross elements start appearing. As we discussed, there are three modes into which the false ego further differentiates itself: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. From mode of goodness comes two things. One is demigods, who are in the mode of goodness, and the subtle element mind. Mind actually evolves from goodness. And who are demigods? These are actually um, people who are, I mean, jivas who are in the mode of pure consciousness service. They are in the mood of service. Their consciousness is one of a servant, but still they have this desire to lord over material energy. They still have this desire, so they are given this higher position. It's like Prabhupada explains in the purport that they are like prisoners, but the old prisoners who are somewhat who know understand the jail better and follow the rules according to the police. I mean the superintendent of jail. So they take care of the lower class prisoners who are new and still having those mentalities of criminal mentalities. So these are somewhat pure and they know and better can take care of the other prisoners. Right? So similarly, these um, the jivas who are actually empowered by Lord to take care of other jivas, the subordinate jivas. Uh, so as the service to them. So that by this service, they actually get purified and they get chance to go back to Godhead. Right? So Krishna engages these high class prisoners in this service of uh, maintaining the low class prisoners like us, the jiva, the lower grade jivas. So and then the mode of passion come the intelligence, the desire for philosophical speculation, and, and the senses, both jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. So we can understand from this the platform on which the mental speculation exists. It's actually the mode of passion. So the senses are evolved from mode of passion. And then from mode of ignorance come the sense objects beginning from sky. So we'll discuss more about that. So evolution of sense objects is in this order, explained in verses 29 onwards. So from first the sound, so sound and sky. So they are the first level of sense objects. From there, the sense of touch comes as the next evolution, and which is equivalent to air, and which is represented by object air. And then the sense of touch comes. So each of these, as they evolve, they have the characteristics of the ones before and the themselves. So the light, the form has the touch and sound, and touch has sound, and taste has form, touch, and sound. Finally, uh, so it form evolves into taste, and then from taste comes smell, which is earth. So earth has all the qualities of sound, touch, form, taste. So all the smell that we see, that we smell, actually comes from earth. Fragrance is the characteristic of earth. Nothing else. No, none of these above sense objects have possess this. Air doesn't have actually. Air acts as a medium for smell, fragrance, but air itself doesn't have fragrance. Similarly, taste. Water doesn't have smell. So, earth is the source of all fragrance. Um, so actually, each plant has this particular ability. In the earth, we see all these different plants. Right? So each of them have the specific ability to extract a specific smell from the earth and give out. So all the different smells, they are not existing in the seed, they are not existing in the plant, they are not existing anywhere in the structure of plant, but the ability of this plant to extract from its roots the smell from the earth, that brings about the smell of the flower. So jasmine smells in one way, rose smells in one way. So each marigold smells in one way. So each of these plants, by their own ability to extract a specific smell, they actually extract that smell and from the earth as the source and give out that smell to us. So we can understand how creation works so scientifically. And all these elements, how they evolve and how they have their own characteristics which are limited to them. No? Perfect structure exists. And then Maitreya reveals the secret of creation after explaining this whole creation in very brief verses of 7-8 verses. He explains that in verse 37 that all physical elements beginning from sky down to the earth and all the inferior and superior qualities are due only to the final touch of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Nothing till now that is created till all the sense objects, none of them were created without actually the participation of Krishna directly or indirectly. That's what he's saying. So it is in contrast to how material scientists speak about creation. They take the effect to be the cause. They take the material object to be the cause themselves, but they're actually their only effect. They are not cause. They do not see what's the hand behind the creation, the cause behind the existence. They start from one point where they have no clue how it came. Like they say Big Bang. How does Big Bang happen? They do not know the precursor to Big Bang. So everything begins from consciousness. That's what they miss. But here we can understand from Bhagavatam that everything is the sentient is the beginning. Insentient cannot be the beginning. The sentient, the life has to be the beginning. We haven't seen in our experience anywhere that something started without a conscious effort behind it. So no transformation happens without at least a touch by the conscious force, the sentient being. So matter can only be understood as an effect. It can never be source of cause. It can never be cause. So this is the secret of creation that the scientists do not have clue about. So this is spoken in the last but verse, 37th verse. So Maitreya reveals the secret of creation or continues. So in next verse it states the state of demigods. So Demigods, they are entrusted with different functions of managerial material affairs, but they are fully dependent on Lord's mercy to further their activities of creation. So they are completely dependent on. So they are created, demigods are created in the mode of, from the mode of goodness, and all these sense objects evolve, and then the creation ceases to further create any. The further creation just stops. There is no more creation by Lord. So demigods are confused. What happens now? So this all began to start praying to Lord Purushavatar uh, to guide them on their duty to further the creation. So that's so the demigods, though they are so powerful, still they need to be empowered by the Lord to conduct their activities. Now imagine our capacity to create. We are like, if Lord Himself, yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, we started. I'll keep the phone on. We almost completed. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, sorry. So, if demigods who are so powerful themselves are so dependent on Lord Krishna for their creation, think about our position. We think we are so independent, but we are actually nothing compared to demigods, and how dependent we should be for anything in this world. We don't understand anything actually. In reality, we do we understand material creation, or do we understand anything? We understand to the extent we can deal with it, or we can manipulate a little bit, but we don't know anything. What is how anything comes. Right? Our understanding is so limited, uh, being so insignificant. So even demigods are fully dependent on Lord Krishna for their functioning. So the conclusion is that Supreme Lord is fully independent, and He is the supreme cause of everything. And everything in existence is dependent on Him, fully dependent on Him, and um, the whole creation is manifested to facilitate the conditioned soul to return back to Godhead. That is the only purpose. So we should understand that Krishna is the source of all the creation, and the only purpose of this creation is to facilitate us to go back to Godhead, purify. This is a place for purifying ourselves. There is nothing, no other reason for our existence in this world. So we should take advantage. We should understand that aspect of us, and we should understand that we are always covered. So we are always covered by this false ego, and which is determining our actions and our thinking. So we should always take shelter of the sound vibration and understand things beyond our senses, that we actually need to take shelter of Krishna. And that way we have to purify ourselves and um, go back to Godhead through that process by taking shelter of Krishna. So being insignificant, only our recourse is to fully surrender to His service and go back to where we originally came from. So overall, there are three things that we discussed. Initially, it started with uh, inquiries of Mahatma Vidura, with Maitreya, who directly heard from Krishna before Krishna left this world. And in fact, actually, Maitreya Muni was entrusted with some specific instructions to be given to Vidura, because he is a pure devotee. So Lord Krishna, he is very merciful to his devotees. He is concerned about each individual devotee, and that's how uh, he is concerned about some instruction. He wanted to give certain instructions to Vidura, and he entrusted Maitreya Muni to do that service. So, and then Maitreya, Vidura asks questions that are of importance to everyone, that benefit everyone. for the common man, and they are about the creation, how Lord created the whole uh, material creation and the purpose behind it, and how what jivas have to do to perfect their life. And then Maitreya Muni praises Vidura for his inquiries about Lord's Purusha incarnations and how the creation happened and the purpose of creation. And he details about the process of creation, how each element evolved, how Lord is the supreme creator who is at the beginning of everything, and how everything created after in different phases. So the details are all explained, and then finally he concludes about the position of demigods as being mere servant of Krishna, and even they're fully dependent on Krishna for their functioning. And in this way we can understand that our what is our real duty and what is our position in this world as an insignificant soul, and what is our recourse as being insignificant servant of Krishna, to take shelter of Krishna and surrender to him and perfect our life. So that's all. Any questions? And it's very short.
This is the first time the creation is explained in sequence of Mahabharata.
I think so. I don't know about second
First
canto.
all these topics of creation. This must be the Krishna explained this to Maitreya.
Before this, he instructs in Chatusloki to Brahma. Right?
Second
Brahma
canto.
instructs to Narada in second canto.
In sequence wise, it came from
Yeah. Actually, there is a reference in the slokas wherein it says that whatever Maitreya is speaking is only exactly what Brahma spoke to Narada. The Chatusloki Bhagavatam. How Lord exists.
correct, but just
But that is just very summary.
That's very
this is the detail.
quick summary. Yeah, this is the detail, and it's further detailed afterwards.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Understand.
Yeah. Any questions?
Explain the whole creation already. What can we ask?
What should we do?
Our position, and
So
we should
Last
understand
point.
our position,
Last point.
and yeah, that's what I was covering in the last point. That we should understand our insignificant position and take shelter of Krishna, and we should understand the purpose of creation, and our position has been covered by false ego, and we should take shelter of Krishna.
one question. Maitreya Muni is like the person listed. Is this given more information or just mentioned it?
I think it's just mentioned in some of the purport. Maybe it was discussed in previous one. I don't remember which. I haven't read.
Previous
Hmm?
one. The previous.
This means Gyan.
He's the Acharya of the previous
I
verses.
the previous topic.
We
I mean,
cannot challenge him on
previous
that.
cantos or chapters. There are
Yeah, that's not
anything else? Anything to discuss? You want to throw some light on creation?
This reminds me how to start with yes. He starts creating, he has to start creating.
I think this just this point of Supreme Lord being fully independent is a very important.
Yeah.
Because throughout the whole thing, you can see he's the one behind everything. Krishna Prabhu also, when he was here, says this point of him being Swarat is the only
Yes.
Swarat.
Yeah.
Is very, very important.
Okay, then, so,
Remember, we are fully dependent.
We are
And we are
fully
fully
dependent and he is fully independent.
mm,
So if we understand this one point itself, that's it.
we cannot understand ourselves without understanding our relation with Krishna. We exist in our relation with Krishna. Otherwise, we have no existence.
You summarize the entire philosophy in this series.
Three shlokas.
Three shlokas.
Okay, then stop.